A beautiful Saturday, and we thank you for creating the time to be part of Politics Today on independent television and radio. On Tuesday, the Senate made a U-turn in its position on the electronic transmission of election results by completely deleting the clause in the Electoral Act as amended as relates to the 2021 Electoral Act. Now, some say, well, the Senate backtracked because of the backlash that came with its earlier position, what with the fact that the House of Representatives actually passed the Electoral Act as recommended by its Electoral Committee. With this new development, expectations are high as it relates to the 2023 elections. Also within the week, specifically that's on Tuesday, the Senate also made some amendment in the Electoral Act as it relates to the conduct of primaries by political parties. In time past, we used to have the direct or indirect primaries. But from Tuesday's situation with the Senate, political parties can only produce their candidates through direct primaries. As expected, it has attracted some reactions. If we have the time on the show today, we'll also look at the deepening crisis in Edo PDP. Let me welcome our panelists to the studio. From my immediate left, I'd like to thank very especially Osamaye Alegbe, is a politician, is also a public affairs commentator. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Great opportunity.
We have with us in the studio an author, businessman, as well as a politician, Dr. Bishop Akhalame. Thank you for joining us on the program. We have with us in the studio as well, Comrade Roy Oribabo is a public affairs commentator. Thank you for joining us, Comrade.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, let's get started. Let me begin with you, Alegbe. When the both chambers of the National Assembly took a different position as it relates to the transmission of election results, the House of Representatives received a lot of accolades, while the Senate received condemnation. Do you think that it was as a result of the public outcry and the backlash that led to the Senate changing its mind, or they've also rationalized the situation and realized that to make our election better, cleaner, we need to do this?
Well, I think more or less it was because of the reaction of the public. A lot of people reacted negatively to the issue. And it was only wise for the Senate to go back to the decision and follow the feelings of the people. Remember that most of these decisions, the people who are in the Senate or in the House of Reps are representing the people. And the usual thing is that you ask yourself, what is the feeling of the people? And to say that the transmission should be in this form, it is to the best interest of the country. And they acted well. I support it very wholeheartedly that they now came out to say that this is the feeling of the people, not necessarily what the House of Reps will say. It was because everybody reacted to say that, look, this is what we want. And they are representing the people, so they cannot be there and be thinking of only themselves. And I think I have to commend the effort of the Senate by being humble and coming back to say this is what we are doing. Because if you have a leadership that is cocky, if you have a leadership that is arrogant, they will come back. They will tell you that we have taken this decision. So I commend their effort by just coming back to say that, well, this is the feeling of the people. And so let us come back to it. And we have tried it in various elections. The last elections that took place in Edo, it was this the transmission went like that. So anybody who's having that fear is still living in the past. We want to move forward.
Okay. Dr. Bishop Akhalame, let's get your perspective on the U-turn by the Senate on the electronic transmission of election results.
Thank you. As you know, we have always canvassed for this in different fora since the decision of the Senate in this issue. We have always said that the most worrisome type of corruption we have in Nigeria today is electoral fraud. That is where bad leaders emanate. and when they emanate, they begin to siphon the common patrimony. We say no, we need good leaders. How do we have good leaders? There's need for us to sanitize the system. So in that, the results should be transmitted electronically. The Senate no, say no, we will not allow that. But I have always said that we are a democracy, the government of the people, but the people are for the people. You can count how many times people appear in that definition. Then they'll tell you that the government is all about the people. So if you are taking a decision and the people say no, then you have to backpedal. Let me tell you something. If all of us go to the National House of Assembly, the place will not accommodate us. Then the reason why we have to go to the field and select one person. Please go there and represent us. So if you are taking a decision, we say no. Immediately, you have to backpedal, make a U-turn, reverse it. So that is what they have done. They have got to realize that let me tell you something, that the decision did not come up from their mind. It was because of the public outcry that people will now say no. We cannot allow this. We have to make sure that we put on a system that will not allow manipulation of election results. That will not allow the manipulation of the electoral process. Hence, results have to be transmitted electronically. Fine. But if that section of the Constitution was amended and deleted, and they now replaced it with the section 2, section 52, section 2, and they now come back to address section 87 of the Constitution. That's where I have a problem.
Okay, we'll get to that point. Roy, let's get your perspectives on this latest development on electronic transmission of election results.
To me, it's a welcome development. Whichever way you look at it, you view it from the reaction of the people, or they decided to also take a decision. It's for their own benefit, because now the system in Nigeria today, we are not doing well. And those who are managing our resources are those who are in position of authority. Therefore, what they just did is just for them to write their name in gold. They are not doing us a favor. They just did what they have to do. It's not favor, therefore I find it difficult even celebrating them. Because they are aware that the way Amana Nigeria is going now, with what we are passing through, that if they don't do what is good, the international community will declare them persona non grata. And they believe the only way they will run to, it is that place they will run to. So they will run away from this country. That is where they will run away from this country, with the way this country is going. And they want to secure themselves within the international communities. That's what they just did. There is something so superlative about what they just did. That is their responsibility. You know, my bother about this issue is that it does not even end with them. Because of the democracy we are practicing in Nigeria, we are taking it to the president. We are bothered about the disposition of the president, because I have not seen that commitment from the president and presidency to reawaken our electoral process.
Sanitize the process. Into conclusion.
I am not
going to the Senate. I mean, it's not going to the president.
I am not.
And you're already concluding.
I am not jumping into conclusion. I'm only expressing my fears. The records are there. This is not the first time electoral act will be amended and will take it to the president. This is not the first time. Because I've done it before. The records are there, as I said before. I don't want it to travel and not that journey. That's the reason why I am raising people's consciousness to it. That if we don't start it now, don't be surprised. The president and the presidency might just reject this, and they will not tell you, because of time limit, they will not be able to go back again. That is my fear. Therefore, all Nigerians need to wake up at this. We must be very determined more than before for we to achieve this, because that is where the responsibility lies. Anything they succeeded in doing at the National Assembly without the consent of the president and presidency is totally invalid. Therefore, the celebration, the commendations that follow hitherto will be rubbish. Therefore, let us now, some of us, anything you believe on, if it's by mobilizing, mobilize. If it is by praying, start praying. If it's to reach out in any capacity, because Nigeria needs to be better and good for the unborn generation. Because we are now seeing Nigeria not to be okay for us. We are not getting younger. We are looking at the younger generation. What kind of society are we going to live behind for them? In 21st century, were you not even shocked in that been issue? In 21st century, somebody rise up in the front of the house telling us that he does not have network in his community, therefore they cannot transfer. Well, the electronic means of transmitting is just to send a text message. Is that not the issue? Is that a rocket science? Just send a text message. I doubt if there is any community in Nigeria where you cannot send a text message. And these are a senator was speaking in that capacity without shame. And he was happy telling the world that where he represents, there is no network. Who is he now represent? Who is he fully? You know, to me, I am not bothered. Let us look above what they have done and start looking at the future. And the future is, let all of us go to our drawing board to be praying for president and presidency to approve it.
All right. Should that be a prayer point, really, Osamai? Is there any reason whatsoever to make the assent by Mr. President a prayer point as far as this electoral act is concerned?
I think one of the issues that our politicians or wish we realize is that there is an uninvited and unwanted visitor in virtually every home in Nigeria. That is hunger and poverty. And when you say that the decision, they came back to say that no, we are going to agree with what they are saying. The entire House of Reps, the Senate, the Executive, they are not up to 1,000 people, or let's put it at 1,000 people, against 200 million people. So when you are still living in the past, you have inflated ideas about yourself that, look, the security men have told me that everything is okay, we are on top of the situation. Those are the realizations that we want the politicians to, what should come to their mind, that it is no longer business as usual. There is hunger and poverty in the land. So when you sit down there inside the AC and turn your chairs and say that this is what I have said, you have to listen to what the people are saying. If you experience the EndSARS, because some of us watched it on television, I personally experienced it. I trekked for 5 kilometers. I was to travel, I couldn't travel, so I ran into them. I moved with them. I saw the anger, the venom on their faces when they were moving that very day. As a matter of fact, by the time I got to a place, I had to pull my shirt and join them so that they will not say that I'm part of them. So the issue of people saying that you want to, they should pray for them, it is for them to realize that times have passed. People are still living in the past. The electronic, the GSM that has come has changed so many things. As we are here now, what we are doing here is seen all over the world. That was not like that some years ago. And so when they say that, look, transmit this thing and just send text message. In those days, what used to happen is that you rush into the place, you scatter the place, and you call somebody to write the figures. When you write the figures, let me tell you, right now, if you say anything or you compromise yourself, you compromise yourself at Abuja, wait for your people at home. There is hunger and anger. You need to see what is going on. You need to understand that the people are tired. So it is not a matter of saying people have to go into prayer and fasting, even though we have a bishop here, to convince them, to tell them that times have changed. Change the attitude you have. I was so happy. Something happened in Benin the other day. The vice chancellor took a decision. The students came out and said that, look, we don't, and the woman, oh my God, came out and said that, look, please, let's cancel that. That is a new development. And the Senate president has to quickly do it because he's already having bad names. A name, they say that when they say yes, he says no, and he hits the gavel. That's something, and the record is there. He thinks that one day he will leave. You will come back to your constituency. If you saw what happened in EndSARS, go and bring 50 mobile police. They will put the address and join them. So to pray for them and tell them that please always rescind the decision. Be careful of what you do because you are coming back home.
All right. We saw that sort of very drastic action when Mr. President signed the PIB, all right, into law. In spite of some of the misgivings that people had towards it, he signed it. So that kind of response is what we're looking forward to, Bishop Akalame.
You know, like he said, we are watching. We know that before now, this is not the first time the National Assembly do some amendments in the Electoral Act. They've done that before, and it was forwarded to Mr. President until today. That bill has not been acceded to by Mr. President, and I begin to imagine what we have, how we got to the place we are today, because anytime we want to take the decision, that decision will not favor us, we say so see as if nothing has taken place. This thing that has happened is something that we see that people are rejoicing about. It's something that will help to curb the electoral front we are talking about. It's something that will bring about good governance. You will agree with me today, we are now in a paperless world where information are now being transferred via software, no longer papers. So if a leader says that there's need for us to still live in the past, we don't need to progress, that means that leader is not supposed to be a leader, because the world has advanced, the world is progressing, the world is now a global village. That what you are doing here, now somebody in America can see us, what you are doing here. That's why you open your Facebook and communicate with a friend in America and you can just name it. Okay. That is how it's supposed to be. I've always said before, I said it in this program, I said, I traveled to Ekpoma some years ago, and discovered that the school was empty, nobody was there. And I asked the question, what is happening? Today was supposed to be your SUG election. What is going on? They said, the VP said, the VC said, all schools should vacate the whole state. That they discovered that each time there is election in the school, there are a lot of conflict, there are a lot of dispute every year. So somebody designed an app that we can vote at the convenience of our homes. Whether in Lagos, we vote there, vote for your choice. Then the result will be announced. There will be no crisis. Yeah. Then I begin to imagine if an institution can design an app to ensure that election is be free and fair, to curb conflicts and disputes during an election. What about a country that have the money, okay, that have the personnel that can mobilize? What is wrong with our system? In a stakeholder meeting organized by the state INEC, I raised the question. I asked the Electoral Commission, I said, how come that you cannot advise the chairman of INEC, let us go electronic? That the government does not even need to declare public holiday. As you are here now, once you are less busy before 12 today or 4, you vote for the right candidate. Okay? They weren't stopping us. And I can tell you, did not answer that question because you know I asked the right question. When are we going to progress? When are we going to move forward? And I can tell you, this is the time for Mr. President to prove his integrity. That integrity has already proved has already preached to the people. Let me prove it by signing this to law, so that Nigeria for once can begin to have good leaders. Do you know that most times the kind of leader we have today, we are not product of the vote that were actually cast in the faith.
Let's say some of them really.
Let me just see.
Some of them.
In philosophy and logic, he said when you are looking at a percentage of 60. That is true, and you have remaining 40, you say general. That is the element of philosophy and logic in my year one in the University of Benin. So we cannot say that because it's becoming too much. We now have leaders who do not have business to be in the office because they are product of the wrong system, the product of manipulation. People will go to the field. Let me vote for Duke Okos because I know you have idea to transform the state. Because of this electoral fraud, manipulation, at the end of the day, you see Mr. A that does not know anything about governance. There is no reach here mentally to govern, to drive the economy of the state or the country, becoming a leader. And hence, it will just be there. Okay. Everything will just remain in comatose. Nothing is moving. The people are suffering. The suffering in Nigeria now is suffering that you cannot compare to what has happened in the past. Is becoming or not becoming. People are living in abject penury. People are in the wilderness of suffering and pain and agony. People are no longer smiling. Step on somebody and tell him sorry. You will not agree to that. You know why? Because to tell you the level of hunger, the level of pain. Yesterday, some of the government officials were addressing a young man. The man was responding to them with so much anger. Immediately, I understood what was playing out. I told them, I said, the economy itself is harsh. So you should not be surprised at the response you get from people. That's why when you go out, you
be careful. Be careful. All right, let's get. Do you think this will help to checkmate buying of votes, as it were?
No, that does not have anything to do with buying of votes. We must also look at it because I have engaged some persons that a mere transmission of results does not prevent electoral fraud. Now, what do you need? You only wait till after the election, then you only just send the result. What happened in that under the process of election? Now, with the level of poverty in Nigeria now that Nigeria has been confirmed as the headquarters of poverty, therefore, what do you expect? People will also be willing to sell their votes. I have contested elections severally, and I know when you at times when you address people, they say, you are doing well, you'll be good, but you don't get money to give us. When you hear those kind of things, you know that people want to sell. Over the years, there is a very huge gap between those you elect to lead you. Because anything they tell you, once they get there, they will not remember, they will not even implement it. At a time in this country, a political party was contesting, and they were telling us in their manifesto that $1 will be $1. We were taking them serious. As we are talking now, is that $1? These are the issues we must continue to ask ourselves. Issue of buying vote and selling vote is a process that is already on in Nigeria. It has been commissioned by the elites. For you to tell those who want to sell not to sell, especially when there is a buyer, it's going to be very hard. Okay. Once the association of vote buyers are on ground, the association of sellers will also be available. Then we must take it to the next level. How do we address this issue? And that's the reason why I look at this their bill. I am also very scared with the way as they said that the primaries will go, because primaries determine the election.
Exactly where I'm going to.
That is my fear about all this thing, because I have participated in a direct primary. I have also participated in an indirect primary. I have not been able to draw a line. And you know the kind of politics we play in Nigeria is different from many politics in the world. Our democracy have no definition with those who formulated the principle and theories of democracy. Our own different. Even as we are still talking now, some parties are doing their congress. Some persons who are contesting for position are not even in town, but their name will schedule because the leaders have endorsed those kind of. These are the issues we must continue
so you just keyed us into the second phase of this discussion as it relates to what came out from the Senate on Tuesday, which is that there is no longer a choice, no opportunity for political parties to make choice as it relates to the mode of primaries. All political parties must now adopt direct primaries for the emergence of their candidates. But people have said, every now and then that over the years that this is what is needed, because indirect primaries makes it easy for people to be bought over with money, unlike direct primaries. Isn't this a healthy development?
The practicability of that statement you just made in Nigeria is not easy. Direct primaries and the election itself are more or less the same. And Nigerians don't. Some years ago, when I think Adam Sushomole was in government or so, they wanted to do direct primaries in APC or ECN, I can't remember the decision, and insisted that there should be direct primaries. If you see what went on the field, I think 1 or 2 persons even lost their lives during the process. Direct primary is like the real election. Look, the democracy, the government of the people for the people, Nigerians, we are peculiar people. When you are talking about negative peculiar, we are peculiar people. We are not people that you just come to. I used to give example with the fact that I have not heard in the whole world where the thing that gives protein in a cow is the red meat. Nigerians prefer to eat the leg and the intestine. We are a different kind of people. So when you are bringing in primaries and say that it should be direct primaries, we are going to cause another problem. Because, first of all, the war will start from there. Can the political parties fund direct primaries? It means that when people will line up, maybe people don't understand what it means and say that all the candidates that will go for so and so, people should come and vote for them. The political parties will come up with electoral papers and all those things, and you vote. It's the ideal thing to do. But is there anything ideal in Nigeria?
Can't we start from somewhere?
Okay, it's a good one that they now decided to say that this is what we'll do. That this is through direct primaries. Let's start and practicalize it.
Okay. All right. Dr. Bishop, You feel differently about this?
Yes, it is not a good idea at all. You don't see it is the prerogative of political party to decide the mode of primary.
Primaries.
And if you go to section 87 and section 1 of that, they just amended.
Yes.
Provided these options. The political parties could organize their primary election either direct or indirect mode. So now coming out to say, oh, you have to amend it and now make it direct primary. That means there is political at all. There is a reason why you are doing that. There must be a reason. Now it's as if you use right hand give
and take from them.
Take. Look at what they just did. They say, okay, INEC cannot transmit electronically, but we have to amend section 87 of the constitution that all political parties should adopt the direct mode of primary. You don't determine the mode of primary for political parties. Today, the government is no longer for the political parties. I am the state chairman of the Labour Party. We fund ourselves. So you don't tell us how to organize our primary election. It is cheaper to organize, to adopt the indirect mode of primary than to go for direct mode of primary election. Because that means, if by tomorrow, my political party, the Labour Party, is organizing primary election in the next election, that means election has to take place in all the local governments.
All the works.
I just summarize this. So, where is the money to fund such election? It's just like a normal election where all the candidates, everybody, all the electorate have to come out to vote for the candidate of their choice. And let me tell you something. Then election belong to the money banks. Those who have the money to throw around. Then you have idea. You have what it takes to deliver to the people. If you don't have money to share in all of the wards and units,
you are gone.
It's the same thing we say for indirect primaries.
No.
When you have delegates, it's easier.
No.
Some will keep those delegates in one house for months leading to the primaries. They feed them, they clothe them, pay school fees, pay hospital bill, do all kinds of things just to ensure that the person votes for them.
See, let me tell you something.
Yes.
This one you're talking about is easier. I have seen a delegate who confided in me that I collected money from that candidate.
So it's easier to rig, that's what you're saying? That's the indirect primary, it's easier to rig, that's what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying it's easier to rig. I say it's more convenient, simple. It does not require much fund to organize.
But it requires fund.
You see,
there's no process that doesn't require fund.
It doesn't require more fund as that of the direct primary election.
Which is more democratic? In terms of public participation. That's what we say about democracy.
Yes,
government of the people, by the people, and for the people.
If these are the way they should be,
okay.
If the things are the way they should be, we can go for that. What upon the time you are aware, where government used to form political parties.
Yeah.
But do they say like that anymore? If you are state chairman of a political party now, that means you must have money first. The secretariat will be for your pockets. The mobilization of members holding meetings here and there have to come from your pocket. So if you now say all political parties, and don't forget you are not in control, you have already captured the machinery of the government, APC. So all the money of the country is in your pocket. So you have all it is to back on any mode of primary election.
Okay, right, yeah. Take it off from there.
No, to me, it's a very disappointing thing, for the National Assembly to limit political parties. That is what they succeeded in doing. Why we expect, let there be options. Say that the political party will not come to say, this is the one we will take. But for you to just sit down in one place and say, anybody who wants any political party must have to adopt this method, it's highly undemocratic. It's highly undemocratic. It's even negating the principle of our constitution. The first section of our constitution that guarantee freedom. That freedom have been limited. They have limited it. And I've told some person that they have to go to court to challenge. Because you cannot tell a political party that it must be what mode of primary. How are you going to do that? We prefer, you remember the last time, any presidential election, the one that even gave birth to President Muhammadu Buhari, was done and it was being live. You can see the anxiety. All of us were watching for over 12 hours. We're seeing the results. We're seeing, despite there were shenanigans and gimme, but you will see people, at least they paint a picture that something transparent is going on. You will be watching. They will be counting. You will be seeing it. Now, how are they going to do the primary now? That I will not be in my unit, Odoa. who is voting for Bishop. Say here, this is the height of fraud. It's a fraud, and we have to reject and resist it. Because if we allow them to succeed, they are looking for a way to make sure it's only when you have money to fund your primary way that you will have money to also go for the more election. By the time they now use this gimmick to make sure they shrink your resources at the primary, going to the major election, you will not have resources to go. And that is their plan, and that is what they are doing. You will agree with me that the party in power now, they have more to gain in this process. They have more to gain. And it was specially designed by them. And that's the reason why I say it's a gimmick. We must unveil those gimmicks so that Nigerians will benefit from the process.
Do you think this will stall the process of assenting to the bill by Mr. President?
That is my feeling about these things. Because with the way Amara they started this, people are celebrating them without looking at the future. Nobody is talking about the tomorrow. These are some of the reasons why I said we have to embark on prayer for this thing to settle. And I'm seeing now that it will not go. By the time this is now further explained to the president and presidency, they will tell you that I cannot approve, I cannot assent to this bill. Then we are back to where we are coming from. They are not doing us any favor. Because I have never seen the world where you have to limit a political party. And you say we are practicing democracy. Even in the military era, we were not limited. There were options. There were options. And the kind of desperation that is attached if you are running for an office, because once you get the result, winner takes it all. Any person, the money bars want to spend their money. They want to make sure they are there because as a president, you determine, once your party is in power, you determine what happens to the economy.
Okay.
You determine those who want to be the contractor. You determine how you want to make people to remain very poor. In the midst of what we are seeing now, that Nigeria is on the headquarters of poverty. You know, right, as a result of misapplication of ideas.
Let me pause it there, Roy, so that we can stay on course. If you just join us, it's Politics Today, and it's reaching you live on independent television and radio, X-raying Senate's backtrack in signing into law or approving electronic transmission of election result. But that's in section 52, subsection 1 to 3. But it's tantamount to saying you give one thing with the right hand and you take it back with the left hand. If you now cascade that to what has also happened with section 87, where there is no more option for political parties to choose the mode of primaries, except that they're restricted to direct primary. And for our panelists here, direct primary is too expensive. Only parties that are wealthy, that are rich, can afford to do that. But let's see how all of this will pan out in the days to come as to the final assent to this particular bill. It's still Politics Today. Now let's just come back home a little bit and look at the crisis rocking the Edo State PDP. Of course, the matter is already in a court of competence jurisdiction. Certain pronouncements and orders have been made by that court. We're not about to look into that. But what does this crisis portend for the party, for the governance, and the people of Edo? So let me start with you, Mr. Alegbe.
Thank you very much. I have said in this program on one of these occasions that as a politician, as an Edo man, I'm getting embarrassed about the news from Edo State. For the past 6 years, I came here the other time to say that the political class even apologized to His Royal Majesty, where he had to go with traditional rulers from here to Abuja to tell Mr. President to please help settle the issue between one or two of the children. We are on the news, one thing or the other. Oh, it was first of all APC having trouble with primaries, this person being suspended, the other one coming up to say that you are no longer a member of my party. We left that. We went to Ogbanism, that election came and gone. We are now in another crisis again. If you are a politician, I have received several calls from several places. Ask, what is happening in Edo State? Oh, this man has been suspended. So when you are saying that, what does it portend to there is an issue? Maybe there are one or two persons that are a recurring decimal, either in the first one or this one that is coming. You have conducted an election, you have won. It is now time for you to maybe appoint your commissioners and special advisors. The matter has been on till a few weeks ago when commissioners were appointed. And suddenly we come now to say that, oh, the South leader has been suspended. One other one, the House of Rep member has been suspended. It is because we could not harmonize the list. This is not the first time we'll be playing politics in Edo State. So it is surprising to me. There was a time a governorship candidate, Lucky Gbenedo was the governorship candidate of PDP in 1999. Lucky Maswe was at that of APP. In 2003 also, later on, elders met, the leaders met together. The elders met and said, look, you, come and be a staff. And the governor, so we have been living, Edo State used to be the pride of the country. There was a time in which the two major political parties in this country, the chairmen were from here, Chief Tony Aneni and Chief Tommy Himi, NRC, SDP. They were from Edo State. So what is happening is that I think there is an introduction of certain factors into the politics of Edo State.
What are those factors?
I think they are just human factors. A lot of people, one or two persons have come in and does not understand the workings of the politics of, because we have, PDP they have enough elders. The former governor is there, Lucky Gbenedo. Chief of Staff to the President is there. The likes of the former External Affairs Minister, Tommy Himi, they are all there. And our father, the father of all that started this politics recently, His Excellency Chief Gbenedo, is there. These are people that will call, tell your children, what are you doing? Come on. We don't want all this crisis again in Edo State. So I think there seems to be a situation in which ego, arrogance, and stinginess of one or two persons that have found themselves in politics have now decided to seize everything. And when you have something, you always have crisis.
Okay, let me pause
if you give the treasury of a community to a stingy man, he gives the people daily bread. And there will always be crisis because you give somebody.
Is that what is happening in those BDP?
Part of it.
Okay. Bishop Akela, let's get your perspective.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Mr. Jigokoso, I must say on this program that what is happening in PDP today is not strange. It's common everywhere. It's ubiquitous. It's happening in all political parties. In this country, we have seen a political party where we have 3 national chairmen. And of course, they conducted election in Anambra State, only for them to go to court, and one of the party chairman won the election, and today Charles Rudo is the governor president of that. Now, let me tell you something. Now, hear this. You see, political party provide a platform for the actualization of the objective of controlling and capturing the machinery of government. And I do not forget that in all of this process is accompanied with a kind of conflict exacerbating elements. Now, see this, we have congresses, we have primary elections, we have appointments, we have the election itself. Look at all these visible processes. And these visible processes you are seeing today, these are processes that give room to eternal crisis, disputes in any political parties. Why? I and Honorable may be in the political party A, and we decide we are aspirant for governorship election. And the member after the primary election, he won the election and decided, he was favored, was anointed. That is why there is always a provision for every political party to strengthen what I call the alternative dispute and conflict resolution mechanism. So that at any point in time, even when crises come up like this, they can easily be resolved. But when we have worries, there are 2 ways we have worries in all of this. Because what is going on in PDP is not strange at all. It's a normal thing. It happens in families. Families, when you see siblings fighting, at the end of the day, they will see people outside. They may see it, they blow it out of proportion, as if something that is happening there is so big. It's not big. It's something that is happening everywhere. They can still resolve it. He just said something just now. Something that happened in University of Benin. The VC said something. The students said, no, we cannot take this. And they were in the street. Outside, they will say, what is happening? We're watching. At the end of the day, they came together, just like teeth, and they talk. They live together, they fight, and they still reconcile. So then, the same people they were fighting against, they are teaching them in the hall. That is how it should be. Even in business organization, you see one man say, the boss has favored him. The promotion, I'm due for promotion. How come he was promoted? Beef everywhere. But there must be what is called alternative crisis conflict and dispute resolution within the party. Now, the two things I said is worrying. It is when the people have resort to litigations. It weakens the internal system of the political party. So that means we are no longer, they can no longer settle that. And what some people, some party members have resorted to litigations, it affects the love that exists within the members of the party. It affects the relationship. It affects that oneness of purpose within the party. So that is why every member, irrespective of what has happened, even if some people even leave one political party to another because he did not win election, because he was not faithful in the Congress, because now appointment will come. It's part of those processes. Okay. So he was due because he was given a commissioner, and I equally worked too. My truth was fed. How come I was not given the commissioner? So there's issue. So that's why the internal mechanism had to come. But the frequency occurrence of such dispute is what we have to look at for. Is it always happening? Why is this happening? So if it's always happening with the party, that means there's a problem. That means there's weakness of the alternative crisis conflict resolution mechanism of the party. So they have to work on this and this. Then we look at other factors, which is called the internal democracy. Because all this you see today, they affect the political party cohesion and the general governance.
Okay. All right. Roy, yeah. Any end in sight as far as this issue is concerned?
Of course, it's a political misunderstanding.
Political misunderstanding.
Therefore, political solution will also come in.
So what's the political solution?
One is just for the political, the structure of the party. You know, the party have an organogram. There are headers, there are leaders of party. Whether we like it or not, the governor of Edo State, by implication, is the leader of PDP in Edo State for now. The man did not hide it. The day he bought the form, when he moved to the party, he announced, I am now the leader of the party. You understand? And you also agree, this is, when you are discussing Edo State politics now, there are issues you need to really consider. Because the way and manner Mr. Godwin Obaseki finds himself in PDP, we are aware of the process. Where at a time some of us need to abandon our structure just because we believe in him. Because some persons want to undermine him, they want to oppress him. When he now gets to the new venue where he found himself, all of us will mobilize and say, let's go there. You will also recall that those who abandoned their structure and followed this governor to the new party, somebody will sit down somewhere and be telling you, I'm an elder in this party, I'll be here for 10 years. As if a political party is now a communal organization where the more you stay, the more you are recognized. Is that the wrong party? It is there you subscribe to the principle and idea of that political party. Everybody should be treated equal. Why will you now a kind of segregation I don't like? You know this is. Some of us who follow him to PDP, people will tell you, you are the new PDP, we are the old PDP. How will you justify that? All of us, we all have our name, we have our integrity to protect. And the man we follow cannot just abandon us at the middle of the road. He must also struggle for us to make sure that we are all inculcated adequately, so that none of us will be missing in action. Some persons, because of the way and manner he find himself in PDP, some persons want to raise up some issues that naturally don't need to come up because they want to give him a name so that people say where you are coming from, you are bringing it there. The answer is no. What we expect, these are experienced politicians who are in PDP, supposed to say, well, we will take everybody accordingly. Let us manage every person the way. But now some person deliberately want to continue to undermine the governor. I will not subscribe to them. The governor is the leader until you work on your constitution. Sit down on the table, let there be a discussion. Look at this. At the time when you are not trying to pay the one person, using manner of agent as my brother, bringing in stinginess, bringing in, doesn't have bearing in political evaluation. What is stinginess in political? There are jealousy of a party, and you work according to the other. Individual stinginess does not have anything to do with party. Me, I will not go up. You expect me to be a party, you will not come to my house where you know I don't have. You cannot give what you don't have. And when I don't give you, you will not tag me as a stingy person. Okay. That is the hard. That is the hard. Therefore, political misunderstanding is going on in PDP. I can assure you.
It will be resolved.
It will be resolved.
All right.
It will be resolved.
Let me come to Alegbe.
Yeah.
there is need for people to have a proper understanding of this concept of leadership in a political party, especially when you say Mr. President is the leader of the party, the governor is the leader of the party, maybe at the local government level, the local government chairman is the leader of the party, or any other person so appointed. What does this really mean? So how do you now differentiate this leadership structure from the party structure?
You see, the organization, the parties, you have the unit, you have the ward, you have the local government, you have the states. These are the party machinery. The idea of saying that one particular person is the leader of, the president is the leader of the party, I don't know whether this present constitution has bestowed that thing constitutional and said that you are now the leader. So the party is different from governance. The party is PDP, APC, or whatever it is. I've said in this program,
well,
different.
It's not enshrined in the constitution of the political parties.
That
even if it's not in the constitution of the country, but it's not enshrined in the constitution of the political party.
So what is the function of the chairman of the party? The party is there. The governor is there. The ability of the governor to cement the relationship is what stores all these things. What we are saying here is that if the political party decides to say that, well, if you cannot manage themselves and you are the leader of the party, the whole thing stops on your table. The president, if there are crises in APC and he says that, well, the president is not doing well, there are crises there, and you are the leader of the party, it is you that everybody will talk to. Because the machinery is there. You have the chairman, you have the vice chairman, and the whole structure. So the idea of saying that if you now say the governor is the leader of the party, and there are crises in the party, then you hold the governor responsible. Or if the president, you hold the president responsible. The ability of the governor or the president, as the case may be, to be able to manage those crises without them first coming out is what makes you a good leader. Okay. That is the issue.
I think historically, if you recall in 1999, my greatest problem with Obasanjo still remains. In 1999, before Obasanjo came, immediately he came, he was never the leader. He manipulated the whole system and said the president is not the leader of the party. And he directed the governor to go and be the leaders in their say, all for his own selfish interest. It was never run like that. Politics was never done. Then it now became an orientation that all of us now imbibe. And that is the reason why we continue to have problems like this. I remember, I read it under UPN and the governors were never leaders. There are leaders of the party who will submit. Governor, they look at governor and say, this is what you should do, because as a day, political parties was based on ideology. Obasanjo came, he destroyed the structure. He imposed himself as the leader of the party. And do you know the reason why governors are present as the leader of the party? Because the party people does not pay dues. How do you run a party when you don't pay dues? I have run a party before. They are looking for one man who will bring money to run the party. Then you are saying, I will bring my money to run the party. You are telling me I'm not a leader. In those days when people were paying dues to run a political party, then everybody have equal right in that party. Now, so as a party man, what did you pay your due last?
Okay. The implication of this is that
yeah, just hold on there. Yeah, hold the line. Yeah.
The implication of this is that as governor or president, and they say that you are now running the party, he has got given an example with Obasanjo coming to impose this thing. It's a normal thing. It's not normal. It's abnormal. It's abnormal. Yes. That the governor will now say, I remember those days, Professor Ambrose Ali will come down to the party and talk about it. So what I am saying now is that in Edo State, the negative talks about us on the news is becoming to this thing. It happened in APC and it's happening again in PDP. Okay, then there must be a recurring decimal.
Let's take this call. Hello, Kara. Good morning. What's your name? Good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling from. Good morning.
Hello.
Yes, good morning. What's your name? Good morning. Good morning. Go ahead, please.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead. We can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you. You are in APC, there is crisis. You come to PDP, there is crisis. Why don't you repent? The PIO do wrong for us. Then we must go to a better school. And
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you. So, Barcelona, thank you for joining us on the program. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for having me.
Okay.
I just want to quickly respond to the issue of this direct and indirect primaries as what the Senate the National Assembly just passed by way of bill. I think the argument is persuasive from, with all due respect from your panelists there, saying that they agree, they all agree that it's the right thing to do. Participatory governance, where everybody has a stake. Yeah. You see this fight for party structure, where governors and people are fighting for structures of the party, is because of issues like this, where everybody will have a stake. You recall Sonny Duke, once upon a stage where they wanted to do party primary, not delegate primary, where everybody participate, one that has been amended now. The governor of that case resisted it, because when you do delegate primaries, it is only the incumbents and those that have the money that will be able to understand their way. Yeah. Somebody like Sonny Duke, you want to participate in party politics, you want to be thrown off as a representative of that party for any position. You have a brighter person now because of your popularity, because of your the acceptability of the people. They have a right to have a say to say, Sonny Duke, we want you to represent us. And we are talking about the procedure of being too expensive. I don't agree. We want to have what they call option A for. It is on the parties to go back and see that. What kind of procedure would we use that will be less expensive for us? We have the option A for. Option A for does not require you to begin to print ballot papers and all of that. You keep behind your people. Yeah. And you have the electoral officers at that point where results are collected and transmitted. Okay. So the issue of it's expensive, I don't think it's something to argue against this particular procedure that has been brought in. It is the best that I have seen, where everybody will have the same party to be able to say, this is what I want. And this crisis of fighting for party structure will be very, very much whittled down.
All right.
But let me say, in NPC, I have the privilege of going through the constitution. The issue of the governor or the president being the leader of the party is nowhere founded in any of this in the constitution. I don't know that of the PDP have not read the current constitution.
Okay. All right, let me pause you there, Barcelona. Hello, caller. Good morning. What's your name?
Good morning.
Yes, you're live on Politics Today. Go ahead, please.
Yes, this Alhaji. I'm calling you from Ago.
Go ahead, Alhaji.
Yes, I want to say that issue of direct primary and the indirect primary. There is no way a poor man can become a candidate if you want to upload the issue of indirect primary. It is only direct primary can enable somebody who has not got a big money to become a candidate. That is settled there. Issue of buying votes, the transmission of results. The issue of buying votes we have started and ended before the transmission of vote. There is no need for us to be discussing that one, because to buy the vote before you go and cast the vote before it is transmitted. The only area transmission of results is important is that when they change result from where you vote to where you go to collate, that is only where transmission of results is important to us. The issue of crisis in PDP that we are talking here and there, they should find the causes statement there. Who is causing the crisis? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. I've got you online, Sonny Gadosa. Thank you for joining us on Politics Today. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
I would like to appreciate your guest this morning, especially Bro Ribato, who has always tried to be on the path of truth. I will only advise him and plead with him. He has always advocated for good governance and what is right. I want him to do that and try to help other political parties. He has a good idea, just that you can have a good idea and find yourself in the wrong environment. For example, there are some political parties in America, who have never produced president or anybody, but they help to shaping the mindset, the system, and the governance of the people. So I would like a political party to go back, especially the PDP and the APC, to redesign and see how they can amend their constitution. That talk about a governor become the leader of the party in the state, president becomes the leader of the party in the national in the country. It is not good for those who have been faithful, serving the political party, and the one man will come because he has money and begin to call the shot and dictate the state. I think that will not help us. So that you always have people that are having this back and forth argument about who govern, who's not living well. Let everybody pay due.
Okay.
Don't be a politician. What do you do on a politician? No, that's a job that you are doing. So that you can have a voice and have a say in the system of governance. Thank you. Good morning.
All right, thank you, Sonny Ledusa. Hello, Kala, good morning. What's your name?
Good morning, this is David.
David, where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Benin.
All right, go ahead, quickly.
Talking about the leader of a party. The governor cannot say he's a leader of a party. The only person that is a leader of a party is the one INEC recognize. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yes.
Hello?
Go ahead, we're listening to you.
There's no way you can call yourself a leader of a party when you are a governor, a sitting governor.
Okay.
It can never happen.
Okay.
Apart, you are a sitting governor, a current governor, you cannot be a leader of a party. The leader of a party is the one INEC recognize.
All right. Thank you. Let me pause you there. Just take one last call, and we'll call it a wrap on the program. Good morning, caller. What's your name?
Nigerians.
Open Secret. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Dr. Open Secret.
Go ahead.
Yes, I think putting it in the first perspective, not until we get an outcry for the amendment of the constitution of the major political parties, especially the clause that is asking the governor or the president to come as the leader. For example, I can tell you I'm a member of PDP. In 1999, the lawyer. Then people who have been trained at all, who were trained at all when they were on that side, when they cross over lines and come, they take over the affairs, they get the appointments, they get everything, and they get the people who have been running the party, who have been shadowing the party, they leave them in dungeon. So if the leadership of the party want to get their respect back, they must go back, because I remember what happened to this governor in the last dispensation when he was expelled from his former party and disqualified. And he ran to this party, and there were already candidates who were viable for this position, like my brother in Nepoma, who was very viable for it. They stepped all of them down overnight, and then they gave this governor ticket. So for this governor to come back to the party now and want to defend the party structure, I want to hijack the party structure. When I know that this governor is after the structure, when all was playing one of the special assistants from all the world.
Okay.
So the issue is that the structure belongs to the leadership of the party. You cannot be governor at the same time to become become the leader of the party. I remember Moka will not be moved.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Opus. Our time is up. Let me quickly come back to our panel. Last word, yes. One last word.
Well, I think we should be civil. The government, the governor, and his party should make peace with them. That is this thing, so that the other political parties will not be vindicated by saying that he come out for here, wahala day, don't go this way now, wahala day. So it's something that issue, and these party people, the people working under the governor are beginning to play the role, what we call sit down look politics. It's dangerous for him.
Dr. Bishop.
Yes, PDP happens to be the political party that is in control of the machinery of the government at the moment. So if there are crises within the party, it will affect the governance of the state. Yeah. The dividend of democracy will not be delivered. I'll join them in prayers so that they can resolve their issue quickly. Okay.
Right. To me, I want to submit by saying that you cannot give me a goat and hold on to the rope. When you give me a goat, you release the rope. Right. Let them release the rope.
All right, that's our package for today on the program Politics Today on independent television and radio. We hope that the Senate will take a second look at Section 87 of the Constitution as it relates to direct primaries for emergence of candidates from the political parties. But there are those who feel that, well, the direct primaries would give opportunity for people who don't have money to truly emerge in political parties. That's our program for today. Have a beautiful weekend and bye for now.